Shalom, shalom, Israel. Coming back at y'all with another video, and I'm gonna give all praise to the Most High Yahweh, which the world calls God, and Yahweh Shai, which the world calls Jesus. But today's topic, Slaki, is gonna be on the rich and the poor, right? Because the rich people of this earth got a role, and the poor people on this earth got a role too, right? Everybody has a role when it comes to this truth. So we're gonna start off with the rich, Slakia. We're gonna go to James 5 and verse 1. Go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Right? So this is not my own words. I didn't make this up, right? This is the Most High speaking, right? Ultimately, it's the Most High speaking, right, through his prophets. Because this is James, his half-brother. This is the half-brother of Yahweh Shai, right? And it says, James 5 verse 1, go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you, right? So the rich men of this earth, they're gonna go through some things, right? Because ultimately they wicked, right? Because when you rich, how do you stay rich? By heaping up money and keeping it to yourself, right? You can't stay rich without keeping money to yourself or hogging it, right? The next precept I'm going to go to is, I'm going to go to James 5 and verse 2. Your riches are corrupted and your garments are moth-eaten, right? Moth-eaten meaning dirty, right? So your garments don't literally mean your clothing, right? It means like, how can I break this down? Like your body or your spirit, right? Your spirit is moth-eaten, right? Your spirit is dirty. You got an unclean spirit. Because like it says, your riches are corrupted and your garments are moth-eaten, right? Because when people become rich, they got to step on people, right? Whether they admit that to you or not, you got to step on people and walk over people and treat people bad, right? And hog money to yourself, right? Sometimes you gotta skip on giving to people, right? You just gotta take, receive. And then once you're receiving all those things, right, Slakia, you become blind, right? You don't start Slakia. You don't remember anybody else in the process, right? You start acting like you better, right? You start forgetting where you come from, right? So your riches are corrupted because they got to do corrupt things to get those riches. And your garments, your spirit is moth-eaten, right? Your soul is moth-eaten. You got a dirty spirit, right? You are unclean. James 5 and verse 3, your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be witness against you, right? Because that money ain't going to last forever, right? It's going to, in the last days, in the last days, money is going to perish. Gold is going to perish, right? It's going to rust, right? It's not going to have no meaning, right? No weight. I'm going to reread it again. James 5 verse 3, your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. Ye have heaped treasure together for the last days, right? And it's the last days right now. What is rich people doing? They just counting up money. Oh, bands. It's all about them bands, right? Them Benjis, etc., right? They got all types of sayings for money, right? Because, man, the rich people, they not worried about the scourges that's about to happen. They're not worried about the world ending. All they worried about is my legacy. My legacy is going to last, supposedly, or according to them, their legacy is going to last, right? I'm popping, right? I'm a star. I died a legend, right? Well, your fate is bad, right? Because when you go to James 5 verse 1, he says, go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you, right? So the rich people going to suffer. So when you go back to James 5 and 3, it says, ye have heaped treasure together for the last days. But he already said that treasure is cankered, right? Your riches are corrupted. So what can that do for you? right? Can you buy your way into the kingdom? Can you get to the gates, or can you get on the judgment seat and be like, Yahweh or Yahweh Shai, I got some money, like what he gonna do with that? He can make money appear before your eyes, right? Any amount of money he can make it appear, right? He don't have no use for money. He wants your obedience, right? So now I'm gonna go to James 5 and verse 5. Ye have lived in pleasure on earth and been wanton. Ye have nourished your hearts as in a day of slaughter, right? So they nourishing their hearts while all these things is happening, right? People, it's all types of things happening to people, and they out there nourishing their hearts, right? It's people on the streets. Meanwhile their own brothers is on the street suffering. What they doing? They eating platters, right? They eating $1,000,000 plates. They out there eating gold donuts. Like, what is that? And you got brothers out there. Gold donuts, mind you, that be costing like $1,000. Like, that don't make sense. Why y'all got brothers out there that don't got no money? They don't got no home. They don't got no food, right? And y'all nourishing y'all hearts, right? They worry about themselves. So now we're going to go to Mark 10 and 25, right? It is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter into the kingdom of Yahweh, right? So it says that it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to enter the kingdom of Yahweh, right? Which the world calls God. So can a camel go through a eye of a needle? Nah, we know that. We know that for a fact, right? So that means also for a fact, for an absolute fact, that a rich man cannot enter the kingdom, right? You can't be striving to be rich, and you can't be rich and think you getting into the kingdom, Slakia, right? There's no way. Now we're going to go to Mark 8 and 36. For what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Right? Because when you getting that money, you gaining the world. You have everything that you could possibly want at the tips of your fingers, right? You just throw a little bit of paper and you got it, right? You want a Ferrari, you just throw a couple mil, right? You want this and that, just throw a couple this, that, whatever it takes to get it, right? So he says, what shall it profit a man to gain if he gain Slakia? For what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Because you gaining the world and you losing your soul, right? Because before people get put on or they become rich, what are they saying to their brothers or their homeboys or their wives or whoever, right? They making promises, yeah, when I get to the top, it's going to be me and you, right? We're going to do this together. But then once they get to the top, right, and they start hanging around other rich people, they start chilling off you like, you kind of like empty luggage, right? You like luggage with nothing in it. You not doing nothing for me, right? So they get rid of you, right? You losing your own soul. You forgetting who you were, and you forgetting that there's other brothers out there that need help, right? That need money more than you, right? Because if I'm most high willing, if I was Slakia, my bad. I'm tired, so I'm messing up, right? But if I was worth $5 million, right? I was going out there and as much brothers that's sincere, right? Because I'm not telling you you got $5 million so you just go to every homeless person and just giving them money, right? Because some homeless people, they like to do drugs. You give them $1 million, you give them 500,000, 50,000, what? They gonna bank out on some drugs. My bad. That's what I meant to say, Slakia, right? They gonna bank out on some drugs, right? They gonna buy this and that, things that they don't need, right? So you got to go to those sincere brothers that sincerely need it, right? And the Most High, you being in His truth, He gonna guide you. He gonna show you, right? Because a man's goings are not of his own, right? So if there's brothers out there that's supposed to get that money, you gonna get that money to them, right? Brothers that need that money, you gonna get it to them, right? Because a lot of brothers, what they'll do is, I gave money to charity, right? Not knowing what that money is going to, right? Just because you giving money to charity, you don't know if that charity is actually using that money, right? Because there's people, for example, I'm going to use, who I want to use? I don't want to say it wrong, but I believe the Ethiopians, right? Even though they're heathens, but I'm going to use them for an example, right? I'm not going to use no heathens for an example, man. But say it's people out there, right? Because there's a lot of times where people have fundraisers and stuff, and they'll be like, oh, we're bringing food to here and there, right? But once they eat that food, then what? That one sandwich that you brung, or those 5 sandwiches that you brung, that bottle of water, then what? What's next? So you gotta, with that $5 million, right, that you got or that you worth, you gotta use that to spread the love, bro. There's brothers out there that don't got it. There's mothers out there that can't feed their children. There's mothers out there that bust their behind to try to help their children, right? Getting this much from the state, whatever they getting from the state, right? It's so bad that we curse so bad that we got to rely on the state, right? Some of us got to rely on the state. And the brothers that's getting rich, they not worried about that, right? They worry about themselves. Slocky, I kind of went on a rant, but I was just trying to get a point across. Right, so I'm going to reread that, Mark 8:36. For what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? What does it profit you gaining the whole world and you losing your soul? Right, you forgetting who you are. Right, so let's get Deuteronomy 15 and verse 7. But thou shalt open thine hand wide open unto him, and shalt surely lend him sufficient for his need and that which he wanteth. Right? So, say you got 5 million. You got a brother that he been on the streets for a couple years, right? He don't even know what it feel like to be in a bed. You got to make it your point of duty to get that brother a job, to get that brother a house or an apartment, right? If you can afford it, get that brother an apartment, right? Keep him up while until he get the money to keep himself up, right? You got to put that brother on the right path. You can't donate $5 million to all these people and then it's like they still homeless. You're not doing nothing. You really not doing nothing, right? Because a lot of y'all rappers, right? These rappers that y'all love and these NBA stars or whatever people you admire, right? You go to their house. Mind you, not even that. You go to their houses, right? Put an S on that. They got 300, 400, 500 pairs of shoes in their house. In each house, right? In each room. 12 rooms and 500 pairs of shoes in each room. For what? Are you going to wear all those shoes? Like, come on now. Like, that don't make sense. So, like it says, Deuteronomy 15 and verse 7, but thou shalt open thy hand wide open unto him. So you got that money, you got to open your hand wide open to that brother, right? Even if that brother did you wrong in the past, right? You got to open your hand. Because if it was you, you're going to want that help, right? Everybody want that help, but they don't want to stretch their hand out, right? You got to do that. Because even the Most High, well, Slakia, Yahweh Shai, the Son, right? He went through multiple lashing, right? He got Slakia, lashings. He got lashed and whipped multiple times, right? He got beat, right? The Romans was beating him. He fell down and got back up. I want more, right? This is for my people, right? So you got to be able to, if Yahweh Shai can do that, and you don't even got to get physically beat, right? Mentally beat. Just throw a couple mil to help that brother, a couple this, that to help that brother. You should be doing that, right? Because the Most High Slaki, I keep saying the Most High, but Yahweh Shai went to he went through the hardest battles, right? For us, right? He went through the hardest things for us. He went through hardships for us, right? And that didn't have to happen. He could have just forsaken all of us. Nah, forget that, They going to be stiff-necked anyway, right? Because we are stiff-necked. We don't do what we got to do. We don't love our brothers, right? We don't open our hands unto our brothers wide open, right? We halfway open it. I don't know if I could trust that brother. I don't know, man. I don't like how he talked to me. I don't like how that brother look at me, right? That's not opening your hand unto him. You gotta come on, brothers and sisters. Y'all can't be selfish, right? And y'all brothers and sisters that is admiring these rappers that got all this money, right? Ask them who have they helped? Who have they really helped? Right? Because they really ain't helped nobody. If it's a lot of people out there that's poor and on the streets, don't got money, they ain't really helped nobody. Right? And let's get James 2 and verse 5. Hearken, my beloved brethren, hath not Yahweh chosen the poor of this world, rich in faith? Right? So he chose the poor of this world. Right? You could be dressed up in a $1 million fit, right? And it's a brother next to you, right? Y'all waiting in line for the kingdom, right? For an example, that brother got on a $1 million tuxedo. Oh, let me look all fresh and clean for the Most High, you know. I might get to the kingdom first, right? Let me spray my Versace cologne on, right? And then it's another brother that's walking up. He smell like whatever he smell like. He got flies around him, right? He got dirt in his beard, right? Dirt and mud in his hair. The Most High gonna skip you that's in that $1 million suit, and he gonna look at him and be like, you know, that's the brother I want, right? That's the brother I need, right? He chose the poor of this world and rich in faith. So you gotta be rich in faith, right? So us being poor as a nation, because we are a poor nation of people, right? We gotta be rich in faith also, right? So he says, hearken, my beloved brethren, hath not Yahweh chosen the poor of this world rich in faith, and heirs of the kingdom which he hath promised to them that love him. Right? So the poor of this earth is heirs unto heirs for the kingdom. My bad, Slakia. Right? So those rich men, they not getting nothing. They got what they got. They living in pleasure on earth, right? They living lavish. Right? They heaping up gold and treasure for the last days. Not even regarding the Most High. Right? They not even opening the Bible. They don't care. Oh, God bless me. Not knowing that the Most High not dealing with rich men. Right? Somebody offer me $1 million. You know, I might be scared to take that. I'm going to be scared to take that. Because when you taking a lot of money like that, you start losing your soul. Right? Your flesh is weak. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. Right? So the flesh might get at you hard. Like, nah, be selfish with that. Right? So you gotta be diligent in this word for somebody to be able to bring you $1 million, and you do what you got to do with it, right? Because you just being faint-hearted, right? You just coming into this, you're going to take that $1 million and you're going to go off, right? You taking it straight to the bank, right? Or I'm going to the Bahamas, right? I might be going off a little bit, but that's the spirit, right? But anyway, I'm going to go to James 2 and verse 6. But ye have despised the poor. Do not rich men oppress you and draw you before the judgment seats? Right? So we all know the rich man. We're oppressed by the rich man. Right? Because take, for example, these rappers. Right? These rappers are rich. Right? They rich. They got money. And we're oppressed by them. Even our own people as rappers. Our own people that are rappers, Slakia, right? They oppressing us because they teaching us shoot up this, drink this, smoke this, right? They teaching us contrary to what the Most High is teaching. They keeping us under oppression, right? Because the white man, the so-called white man, Esau, they programming these rappers, right? They giving them money and they own these rappers, right? They bought them. So now they're using our people to suppress us and oppress us. Right? And it says, but ye have despised the poor, and the rich despise the poor. Right? And you shouldn't despise the poor. Right? You should see a poor brother out there. You got $200. Give that brother $20. At least. Give him, if you can spare it anyway. I'm not saying like you need it, right? But you gotta understand that brother needed more than you, right? And if he gonna be sincere about it, like, I mean, Slack, if he's sincere about what he's gonna spend that money on, right? Even if you don't even gotta give him the $20, buy him food. Buy him a good amount of food that should last him now, later, and dinner, right? Morning, afternoon, and night, for example. Or dinner. Slakia. Right? So I'm going to reread that. But ye have despised the poor. Do not rich men oppress you and draw you before the judgment seats? Right? And like I was saying, these rich rappers, they oppressing us. Right? The people we look up to, they oppress us because they're doing wickedness, and then we're watching them and we're like, that's what I want to be. Right? We idolizing them, and we're marveling at the works of sinners. Right? Slakia, which the Most High tells you not to do. Marvel not at the works of sinners. Right? So you're not supposed to be marveling at these people. Right? And draw you before the judgment seats. Right? So when we follow rappers and we do drug deals, right? Or shoot up people, right? We get drawn before the judgment seats, right? We right there in court. And for example, Lil Durk, he not in court with us. He's still rapping about the same thing, teaching other brothers to go off and do the same thing, right? That's one example, right? Because these precepts got, you could bring a lot of examples out with these precepts, right? Because the words of the Most High are deep and wise, right? Dark sayings have many meanings, and basically, Slakia, my bad, Slakia, basically many meanings, right? These parables, these precepts have many meanings to them. So there's a lot of things you could draw out of these precepts, right? So it might even seem like I'm rambling, but I'm really not, because these precepts you can take one precept and go in on that one precept for an hour, right? Because the Most High is a wise man. His words are powerful, right? So let's go to Proverbs 28 verse 27. He that giveth unto the poor shall not lack, but he that hideth his eyes shall have many a curse. Right? So, like I was just saying, precepts have many meanings, Slakia. So when it says, he that giveth unto the poor shall not lack, but he that hideth his eyes shall have many a curse. So, for example, one example, we're going to get money. Right? So if you see your brother poor, right, and he lacking, you can't hide your eyes. You can't walk past that brother and be like, he dug himself into that hole. Let him dig himself back out, right? You can't do that. You got to understand, like, life, there's a lot of things that happen in life, so you got to help that brother out. And another meaning behind this is when you see a brother that's off, and because when you in this word, right, and if you're a man of the Most High, you got to teach brothers. You got to give brothers bread, meaning wisdom, right? If you know something, you got to give it to them. That's, and when it's referring to poor people in the Bible also sometimes, right, it's talking about poor in wisdom, right? They don't have no wisdom and understanding of the Most High. So you got to give them that wisdom. You got to help them, right? So you see a brother lacking, right? He's sitting there like, yo, I don't know what to do, man. Like, I've been struggling. You got to go in these precepts, and whatever pertains to him, you got to bring these precepts out and convince that brother, like, you got to come back to the Most High, and these problems won't come back, right? Just have faith, right? So let's go to Deuteronomy 15 and verse 6. If there be among you a poor man of one of thy brethren within any of thy gates in thy land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, thou shalt not harden thine heart, nor shut thine hand from thy poor brother. Right? So again, that's meaning you're not supposed to hide yourself, and you're not supposed to let that brother among you that's poor in wisdom. You got to tell that brother, like, you got to give him some wisdom, right, so that he'll be rich. And also, on another note, when you see a brother out on the streets or you see a brother struggling, you got to help that brother. You got to give that brother money, right? If he needs it. Whatever he needs, whatever is sufficient for him, and whatever, like I said, he needs, right? You got to help him out, right? So that's what it's saying. Let's see if I want to get another precept. Yeah, Israel. That being said, that's all I wanted to touch on, right? So, don't aim to be rich. If you want to follow the Most High, don't aim to be rich. But if you want to follow devils, right? If you want to be on the left hand side instead of the right hand side, right? Hey, then do what you got to do. But I'm not telling you that, right? Because ultimately, it's still the Most High. Because if you still watch this video and you still, I want to be rich. Forget that. The Most High ain't choose you. He blinded you from this truth, right? He gave you a itching ear, right? And that being said, giving all praises to the Most High Yahweh by Hashem HaMashiach Yahweh Shai, giving all glory to Yahweh, which the world calls God, and Yahweh Shai, which the world calls Jesus, right? And that being said, Shalom Israel, Shalom.